running through the thick and thin, and I know it's never gonna end. 'Cause you've been a good friend.
We got to the festival, heard the music, we're having a good time, you know, listening to all the acts and artists and everything. So it was a pretty festive time. Like I said, we were enjoying ourselves, and up until the event, everything was peaceful, everyone had good vibes, it was really fun. At the beginning, there was a lot of confusion because we heard the first initial wave of shots, which we thought were like fireworks or firecrackers, and we looked in that direction and there was really no panic or worry. So then it stopped. About 10 seconds later, a second wave happened. That's when we noticed a crowd of people like all rushing toward us, like screaming, panic. That's when we made the move to get out of there. Definitely shocked, like an adrenaline rush. You know, you hear the shots going off, the panic, the widespread, you know, scramble everyone. It definitely was a surreal moment because you always hear about this stuff but never experience it. So to be in it when it happened was really like a surreal experience to be in, everything like that. Once everything kind of hit me what was going on is I positioned Morimoto to my left because I realized like, hey, this is my coworker, she's a mother of two. I kind of put my back towards the sound, so God forbid anything come our way, I'll take the brunt of it to basically shield her. And then from there we made the move to run away to the nearest exit that we could find and just get out of there. As we ran to my car, I started it and put the car in drive to get out of there, and then I noticed my back doors opened and complete strangers, about 5 of them, hopped in the back saying, hey, can we, you know, ride with you to get us away from here? So I wasn't going to tell them no or turn them away, so I had everyone pile in and we drove down Tropicana to get as far away from the scene as possible. Definitely caught me off guard because I wasn't expecting it, but at the same time, with what was going on, I wasn't going to shoo them away or deny them help, so I said, sure, hop in, we'll take you as far away as we can and get you to safety. I'd say probably less than 3 minutes, majority of the time just trying to bypass the crowd, and it's a huge herd of people trying to get through these small exits until we started hopping a couple fences and gates to get back to the parking lot. So I'd say from moment of like sounds, like gunshots, to us getting in the car was no less than 3 minutes. I'm sorry, no more than 3 minutes. A lot of confusion, panic, sadness. There was people with children there with families, so they were making sure they were cradled, running to safety. So it was definitely a lot of mixed emotions and various feelings like being shown throughout the entire crowd. It hit me more so later in the night when I had a chance to really like lay down and decompress that these were total strangers I'd never met a day in my life, that I got to safety, that they all piled in my car. They were thanking us endlessly when we got to the destination, you know, away from the strip and everything. And it wasn't until I laid down that it really hit me that I helped complete strangers out of this whole panic. The first few thoughts were, it was like a complete 180. We went from having fun, listening to good music, Jason Aldean, you know, played some of his smash hits, to literally a split second later, widespread panic, you know, everyone crying, screaming out, like in confusion, what's going on, what's happening, to like, it was literally a change of the moment for everybody to go from fun and festive to panicking, worried, and crying. I would say in terms of special training, we have what's known as active shooter, which we usually take once a year or whenever we're set to deploy. So me having gone through that class, as soon as the instructor introduces themselves, the first thing they say is an active shooter can be random or premeditated. And we always think, God forbid, we don't want to be in that situation. So from the moment shots started firing, I kind of reverted back to that class where if you're in an active shooter situation, fight or flight, well, no one knew where the gunman was coming from, so it was flight at that moment to get out of there as fast as possible, make sure who I was with was safe and taken care of, and following the events, the strangers that we helped out, make sure they got to safety, they got out of there unharmed and safe. Panic, like you had multiple people on their phones contacting their family, their friends. It was just a lot of confusion going on at once. And then we had one lady whose phone had died, so Morimoto assisted her by letting her use her phone. She called her mother, crying uncontrollably, saying how much she loved her, that what had happened, and that she's safe and taken care of. And it was really a lot of confusion at one point, but Morimoto stepped in and kind of got control of everyone, told them, hey, I'm Morimoto, this is Wood, we're from the Air Force, so we got you guys taken care of and we're going to get you to safety. Not initially until I got home, but I actually had family call me the following morning because I'm from Maryland originally, so 3 hours ahead, it was about 3 a.m. their time, so they didn't hear until the news in the morning what had happened. But that morning I got plenty of phone calls, text messages directly from family asking about me, my whereabouts, if I'm safe, and I told them, like, hey, I was at that concert, but I'm good to go. I'm safe and sound, unharmed, and you guys have nothing to worry about. We saw what was going on around us. Like I said, the first initial round of fire sounded like we thought firecrackers. We thought someone just had fireworks going off, to add to the festive moment. It wasn't until the second wave where we heard, like, excuse me, the crowd really shifting towards us, like in panic, saying, like, oh my God, shots fired, what's going on, what's happening, that we really made the move to pick up and run. It was definitely unexpected, but I consider it outstanding because of how fast people were offering help, shelter, rides. And then the following day, people offering blood drives, any assistance, whether it be water, food, supplies, just to these hospitals and centers offering the care to the people. So I really was surprised that Vegas being Vegas, how fast the community rallied together to really assist these victims.
It was pretty slow in the morning. Obviously, it's a Sunday. We got to the concert, and we kept going back and forth from the concert to a casino because there was a lot of acts that I didn't really know. So we went back for the last time to see Jason Aldean, and I'd say about 4 songs in or so is when the whole script changed. Went from happy to pretty much fear and just a bunch of people running around. So I was just trying to get safety. I was making sure that me and Sergeant Wood, we were getting out of there so that way none of us would get injured. And then when we started heading to his car, that's when I thought, I can't get shot. Can't die today. I need to survive for my kids. So there was a lot of adrenaline rush going through me. Also, when we got in the car is when kind of hit me a little bit, to where I was like, we were actually just in an active shooter situation. And just like Sergeant Wood said, it's just you only hear about it on TV. So to actually be in it, it's pretty unreal. I actually felt really great about helping them, shoving as many people as we could in the car, a total of 7 in a 5-passenger car. Yeah, we tried to get as many as we could in there to get out of there. So I'm pretty sure everyone was just as scared as everyone else. There was a lot of panic. There was a few civilians that were hyperventilating because of how intense the situation was. Frantic phone calls, making sure that their friends and or family members were safe. So, and the one civilian that didn't have her cell phone, because it was her battery was dead, she asked to use mine so that way she could call her friends and her mom and make sure that she had a ride home. No conversation like that. We were just concentrated on what was happening in our moment, just making sure we got to where we needed to go. It was fairly close to where I think on the news it showed approximately where the initial shots were being fired, and it was really close to where we were actually standing. I actually initially heard fireworks. I looked around, saw no signs of it. I heard it about 1 or 2 more times, and then that's when I looked back, because on the last time that I heard it, I felt something kick up on my legs, which I've come to the conclusion that it was the gravel from the ground. So I turned, looked to my right, and I just saw this crowd of people just start slowly moving, and they just started rushing in my direction. So, and then I just started hearing screaming, and then I heard the continuous rounds from the active shooter. There was a worker there, like right at the gate where we exited, and they were just kind of like directing us to head out this way, saying, "Hurry up, let's go, get out of here, get out of here." So, actually, the night it happened, I didn't tell my parents because they had to wake up early. I didn't want them panicking and not concentrating on what they have to do. So, with my mom, she's a Clark County School District bus driver. I didn't want her to endanger any more children with her worrying about her own. So I didn't tell her. I didn't tell my dad. He works with heavy machines because he's a mechanic. So, but they eventually found out the next day. Everyone who found out about what me and Sergeant Wood had gone through, they kept saying, and everyone that has talked to me, they said that there's always a listening ear. We're always here for you. If you need anything, I'm here, let me know. I think it was when I started hearing the actual gunfire, and I heard which direction it was coming from. So that's why I knew to run away from it. There's no sign of any active shooter on the ground, so it's still surreal to me. Like, it hasn't fully hit me yet. So, but I noticed that my attitude's a little bit different, so I was thinking about going to mental health and talking to them.
My name is Major Charles Chesnut, C-H-E-S-N-U-T. I'm a general surgeon and the Associate Program Director of the General Surgery Residency here at Nellis Air Force Base. On October 1st, 2017 at 10:08 p.m., I was asleep in my bed, just like every Sunday before that. At about an hour and a half later, I was awakened by the Air Combat Command emergency notification system simply saying, avoid downtown Las Vegas. There's an active shooter in the Strip. Yeah, I did what the rest of us do for our news. I went to Twitter and Facebook and saw the catastrophic events that were unfolding, and I thought to myself, this is what we train for. I need to go help. So I called my flight commander, Lieutenant Colonel Jason Compton. I said, Jason, we got to go. You coming with me? Actually, I said, well, let's go back. I called, I'll start back. I saw the catastrophic events that were unfolding, and I said, this is what we train for. They're going to need some help. I called my flight commander, Lieutenant Colonel Jason Compton. I said, sir, I'm going to go down and help. Are you coming with me? And he said, absolutely. So we head down there. On the way there, I encountered no fewer than 4 roadblocks by Las Vegas Metro Police. They did a great job securing the site. My wife's concern when I left was, what if there's more? What if they come to the hospital? I showed them my credentials as a surgeon, and they let me right through. I went in to trauma resus, the resuscitation bay at University Medical Center. I'd been there before. It was much busier than the last time I'd been there. And I found Dr. John Files, the chairman of surgery, and I said, sir, I'm here to help. What do you need me to do? At that time, it was about 2 hours after the incident had started. All the resuscitation bays were full. 6 patients in the operating room being operated on by trauma surgeons down there. So we went to work, doing what we're trained to do, what the Air Force trained us to do, what Penn State University trained me to do. Took care of trauma patients. I'll spare you the details of the patients because I don't think that's the story I want to tell here today. I want to tell the story of how everybody worked together down there. Nurses, medics, surgeons, both Air Force and civilian, internal medicine doctors, hospitalists, anesthesiologists, critical care doctors worked to take care of these patients, to do some good in the face of evil. We treated over 100 patients, most from gunshot wounds. Some patients were trampled. My part of that was probably no more than 30 patients, ranging from surgical procedures to end-of-life care, to supervising our residents in training, to getting glasses of water and holding patients' hands and and helping them charge their cell phones so they could reach out to their family members who were afraid for their lives. And I'm very proud to have the opportunity through the Air Force to work at University Medical Center in Southern Nevada. I'm also proud to be the program director of the Air Force side of the general surgery residency at UNLV. Our residents played a valuable part on the night of October 1st and on the follow-up for the 100 patients that were injured on October 2nd.
Is there any particular situation or story you'd like to highlight that might have personally touched you? Or
You know, I think, so I talk about my training prepared me for this. The Air Force, I joined the Air Force to gain experience taking care of the traumatically injured patient in the mass casualty situation. My mentor at Penn State University was a trauma surgeon in the military. So following his footsteps, I joined the Air Force and was fortunate enough to be stationed here in Las Vegas, Nevada. But I never thought that I would see this type of mass casualty stateside. You know, this is the type of thing that happens at Bagram or in Iraq or Syria, not Las Vegas, Nevada. Just here on Nellis Air Force Base, 2 days prior to this event, we had a mass casualty response training that was in preparation for the Aviation Nation Air Show. That event was simulated 100 patients, mass casualty, coming into the 99th Medical Group, which eerily was almost the exact same number of patients we saw downtown at the only freestanding level 1 trauma center in Nevada. The training that we had on that Friday prior helped us immensely on the following Sunday night into Monday morning. The training I've had with the folks down in San Antonio, prepping me and my austere surgical team to function in mass casualty experiences in a deployed location was second to none. The training we get here to prepare us for this type of event is like nowhere else in the world. The Air Force contingency down there was 4. There were 4 general surgeons and trauma surgeons down there helping to take care of these patients. 3 active duty general surgery residents participated in the care of these patients. And the following morning, there were countless others from the Air Force Base and the 99th Medical Group that came out to assist.
How would you explain the environment when you first got there and then as things started rolling? Would you say that, you explained before that everyone started working together and really well. I mean, how did you personally deal with the emotions of yourself, the emotions of other people, patients?
Right. The environment down there was controlled chaos. There's no way that cannot be chaotic. But the disaster response plan that they had in place down there for a mass casualty worked. At no point did I feel like our capacity was overwhelmed. We were completely in hand in tracking patients after they'd been initially assessed and able to follow up on them and recognize critical changes. The amazing capacity of all of the different disciplines within medicine to work together to take care of these patients. And as I said before, do some good in the face of this evil was like I'd never seen before. And I don't think anybody can prepare for 100 patients, especially 100 patients with gunshot wounds that until you can prove it otherwise, could die right in front of you. I think personally, my training, both in the Air Force and at Penn State University, prepared me for that. Dealing with these type of patients on a much more controlled and lower volume allows you to scale it up, and you just fall back into your natural abilities, your muscle memory, the things that you know how to do. And then when it's all said and done, you sit back and think about it. And I think, now, almost 48 hours later, the gravity of the incident hasn't hit me. And the thing that sticks with me is talking to these people, our patients, who had to witness a war zone on the Las Vegas Strip.
What would you say to the families survived this in the aftermath of healing, and what they should focus on as Vegas should focus on, as a nation we should focus on? What are things that you would pass along that you focus on?
I'll never stop being amazed by the immense capacity that our patients have to forgive us for the things we can't do and appreciate us for the things that we do. We weren't able to save everybody. Their family members were still very grateful for the care that we were able to provide. And talking to many of the injured victims, I think that I would wish them first a speedy recovery, get them back home to their families, to the comfort of their own bed. But to know that the acts of one person aren't, the acts of many. That one man did terrible things to almost 600 people, but as we've seen in the days following, hundreds of people have done amazing things to help support us as providers and physicians and nurses, to help the families of the victims and our patients, to help our patients, to help keep us fed, them fed, transportation. The overwhelming amount of humanity that has been shown for the past 36 hours has been amazing, and I think that's what should carry them forward, and that's what's going to carry me forward, and what helps me get out of bed every day and do the job that I do. I think it's an immense honor to be able to take care of patients as a physician, as a surgeon. I think having them and their families trust me to put them to sleep and operate on them is an honor and a privilege that the words don't really do justice.
What would you say was the, I guess, like the time of when it started? How long were you there? Like,
Yeah.
How long was the work hours for? And
Yeah. So the event started for me at almost 11:45 when we received the notification from Air Combat Command. I got downtown as quick as I could. I may have violated some traffic laws getting there, but knowing that I need to take care of myself first and get there safely. When I arrived, I sort of lost track of time, taking care of patients. There was the initial wave was finishing, and then it was cleanup, and then after that, about 3 a.m., the second wave came, where critically injured patients from smaller hospitals in the valley that weren't able to take care of the capacity that they had started sending people to us. All along, the trauma center was taking other trauma patients that had been injured from completely unrelated events or had been trampled trying to flee the event. By about 7 in the morning, things had really slowed down. We had one trauma transfer coming in about that time, and we met as a team, all the trauma surgeons and that were there that night, the surgery residents and the incoming team, and talked about the patients. All of our patients that predated the incident that we still had to render care for moving forward and that evening, in addition to the new traumatically injured patients from the events of the evening of October 1st. So my day was pretty much a normal shift. I went in at 11, I went in about midnight and left about 8:30 in the morning. I hadn't slept the entire day before, except for about an hour that I got from the 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. when I woke up. But I went home, took a shower, and came back to work here at the 99th Med Group, continuing to do the things they need to do to take care of our active duty airmen and their families. Then I went home to sleep.
Is there anything you'd like to add?
There's so much I want to talk about, but like I said before, this is all pretty new. I'm sure over the next coming days I'll think of more things, but I think the message that I want to send to the airmen here in the Air Force is that the doctors and nurses and medics that take care of you, we get these experiences in the civilian sector. Fortunately, places like here and our training keeps us ready to achieve the mission every day, operating on our active duty airmen and their families. And I think that it's an enormous privilege to be able to work with the SMART program downtown and UNLV. I'd also like to, the message I'd like to send to, I guess, the civilian population is centers like University Medical Center and the very close integration of military medical providers. It's a match made in heaven. It really is an awesome marriage of skills, mass casualty readiness skills, deployment experience, and the types of things that we don't always see in civilian medicine. And we're able to deliver that to the civilian population, to the taxpayers, who are also, our secondary mission. And I think the third message I'd like to send is to, future physicians, people in medical school. Think about the military as an option. I trained in a civilian medical school and a civilian residency at Penn State University. Joined the Air Force, and the experiences that I've gotten here and this experience is second to none. We have an Air Force residency program that is integrated with the UNLV surgery residency. And our surgery residents were there caring for these patients throughout the night and are currently caring for them. The experience they're going to get, they're going to be able to take on to care for active duty airmen and their families, both at home station and deployed.
Next it would be, how did this differ from what you usually do in Nellis?
Yeah.
On a day-to-day? Obviously, you don't deal with this much trauma, but how was the difference between Nellis and the civilian?
Yeah. My day-to-day mission at Nellis Air Force Base is to take care of active duty airmen, their families, and the beneficiaries. The majority of my surgical practice consists of surgery for cancer, elective surgical repair of the common maladies that affect young, healthy, active duty airmen and their families, and emergency general surgery. There is very little trauma surgery that happens at the Nellis Air Force Base, and reason being because close proximity is such a great level 1 trauma center at University Medical Center. My day-to-day also includes my job as the Associate Program Director for the General Surgery Residency. And that's both for the residency here on Nellis Air Force Base, 12 active duty trainees, and the residency at University of Nevada, Las Vegas. So one day a week I teach down there, actually every Tuesday, and help both the civilian active duty trainees learn learn the skills to be safe and competent general surgeons at the end of a 5-year training program.
So during the event, how would you say that you and the surgeons were able to help the normal residents of the UMC, whether it be the procedures or...
So how are we able to help the people that are there all the time?
Yes, like how did it benefit, how did them having you there benefit them?
We as Air Force people?
Yes.
Right. So when we responded, that's not the way to answer that. Many surgeons responded that evening. There were a couple surgeons on call and a couple that got called in. Of the total number of surgeons that were there, 4 of us were active duty Air Force officers. I know that 2 of us were able to help by taking patients to the operating room and save their lives. The additional things that were performed were bedside procedures. The biggest value I think that was added was the overall coordination of care. Patients were, as is understandable, all throughout the hospital, making sure that sick patients that in the setting of 1 or 2 patients may have gone directly to the operating room, but were categorized as less sick, less emergent, and needed to be followed up on regularly across multiple areas of the hospital, interface with the medicine physicians that were helping us, the emergency physicians that were helping us out. I think that we added surge capacity. We added an ability to triage in the mass casualty situation because some of us have done it before and all of us have trained on it as recently as 48 hours prior here at Air Force Base mass casualty training.
How important is to have ties like these to our civilian counterparts from an active duty standpoint and for them at the UMC?
I think military and civilian partnerships are of paramount importance. I think that, in my humble opinion, as a major in the United States Air Force, it's the only way to keep us ready to achieve the mission downrange. I don't think that, although I very much value my practice here on the Air Force Base, caring for active duty members, their family, and beneficiaries, we don't do trauma out here. We need to work in these civilian centers where we're seeing fast-paced trauma, cutting-edge, life-saving techniques, and doing it every day. We need to be immersed in this type of environment. This isn't the type of experience that you can have over the course of a few weeks just prior to going downrange and really be set up for success. So I think that the future of military medicine really are these civilian DoD, civilian military partnerships like we have here at Nellis Air Force Base. Our leadership has been awesome to work with the leadership of University Medical Center to allow us to really function just as one of their own. And University Medical Center leadership and Dr. John Files, the chairman of the Department of Surgery, and has really embraced us and embraced the military and the Air Force specifically and welcomed us with open arms to have full reign and work with his team and in his facility to care for these patients.